Hi, I'm Dr. Barbie Hessel, and I'm with Simply Being Therapy in Nashville, Tennessee. And today I wanted to just chat a little bit about grounding strategies. And so I know that we're all struggling, having a hard time with our new realities right now during this coronavirus situation. And I know from my own personal experience and from those that I talk with, folks that I talk with, that a lot of us are kind of running away from our feelings during this time, which is natural. It's normal. There's no judgment, of course, right? We are either distracting, which can be a very good management strategy, but we're either distracting with television, Netflix, or we are playing games, video games, or maybe we're distracting by going on walks, doing a lot of things, whether it feel healthy or unhealthy. It's really about balance more than anything else. So a lot of us are doing that, and some of us are also kind of dissociating, just kind of leaving our bodies, leaving the space. Just it's a little too much for us sometimes. So grounding can be really helpful to keep us in the moment, keep us away from worrying about what's going to happen and trying to predict the unpredictable. And it also keeps us away from having whatever grief there is from the past that we're still shouldering, or whatever shoulda, coulda, wouldas that we might have from the past. Presence doesn't allow for either of those two things, right? We can't time travel to the future or to the past when we're present. And grounding is a great way to stay emotionally, mentally, and physically present. So, that being said, there's just a few really simple strategies I'd like to talk with you about today. The first one is a really kind of, tried and true, more of a cognitive strategy. If we feel that our witness is coming offline, meaning if we feel like we're kind of floating away, getting lost in our head, sometimes we don't feel it that way. We just feel it in our body. Maybe things get a little hazy, a little, hard to focus. Whenever we start feeling that, if we're able to catch it early enough, it's helpful to kind of ground ourselves in our realities. So for example, if I were feeling that way, I might say, okay, today is Thursday, it's April, my name is Barbie Hessel. I might, look around and say, like, I'm in my house, this is my home office, whatever it might be. And just kind of really grounding to the realities of the moment. And that's a much more cognitive approach, but definitely can be very helpful. One of my favorites, and one of the simplest, has to do with our senses, and it's called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And essentially it's just an exploration of each of our senses. In order to stay grounded, we need our brain to be in the moment, our amygdala, our alarm system to be in the moment, kind of gauging whatever safety there is around us. So what I'm going to do is I'm just kind of going to I'm going to guide you through the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So what you would do if you're starting to feel a little wonky, a little out of it, like you're going someplace else, is you would first start by looking around the room and noticing 5 things you see in the room. So go ahead and do that. 5 things that you see. And you can get fancy and say, what are 5 red things that I see, or what are 5 pink things that I see, whatever it might be. But just 5 things that you see. So for example, I can see my ceiling fan, I can see these pink tulips, I can see the purple wall behind me and to my side, I can see the chair that's across from me, and I can see my feet on the seat. Right, so 5 things that you see. Next, you're going to do 4 things that you can feel around you, so textures that you might notice. And so I'm going to do that while you do it as well. Noticing 4 things that you feel. maybe even feeling, really exploring what the textures are like. The 4 things that I feel my really cozy sweater on my shoulders. I feel my teddy bear in my hands. It's really a little piglet in my hands and the fluffiness of it. I can feel the coolness of my metal glass. I can feel the warmth in the room. It's a nice temperature in the room. It's a little warm, but in a good way. Those are 4 things that I can feel. So be sure that you've figured out 4 things that you can feel where you're at. I'm going to drink some water. I'm going to feel that too. Okay. Next, we're going to think, or we're going to focus on 3 things that we can hear. So we might have to stay really quiet. And maybe that we hear 3 things, and maybe that we hear less. So we're going to attempt 3. For example, I can hear my sound machine, and I can hear some mowing of the lawn going on outside, and I can hear my voice. So 3 things you can hear. The next is 2 things you can smell. And so that can get a little bit tough sometimes because we might be like, well, there's nothing, I don't smell anything. So we might actively look for a smell. Like I might try to notice the scent of detergent in my clothing. Or maybe I can, I notice essential oils, for example. I'm noticing that. Or you may just smell, a crisp air smell. Who knows? But whatever you smell, 2 things that you smell. And finally, noticing whatever the taste is in our mouth at the moment. So noticing maybe the temperature in our mouth. Mine is a little cool because I just had some really cold water. And noticing if our throat or our mouth feels dry. Maybe we can still notice the candy that we had. I was sucking on a mint earlier, so I can kind of taste some of that still. And so just noticing that. And as you see, with grounding, we're grounding to the moment, to the present, by using all of our senses. And we can even incorporate a 6th sense and maybe even stand or just notice, what our balance might feel like in the chair or standing up, all of that kind of good stuff. Okay. And the last kind of exercise I'm going to go over with you today is another grounding exercise specifically to this completely focused on sensation, whatever we're feeling in the body. So if I'm feeling kind of wonky, kind of floating away, kind of getting lost, I might straighten my posture up and kind of notice what that's like, to really feel my spine, lengthening, noticing my core holding up my body, right? So a little activation in my core, noticing my feet firmly on the ground, noticing the slickness of the floor in my case, maybe putting my arms against the armrests, the armrests of my chair, and just kind of feeling that support, noticing the support against my back, really grounding in the body. Then I might even begin to notice, this sensation of my clothes against my skin, things like that. So we went over 3 specific grounding exercises, very simple, first being a more cognitive approach in which we are just identifying the realities of the moment, maybe stating our name, stating the date, stating our location. Maybe even we can even take it a step further and we can name whatever feeling is coming up for us. Maybe even notice where that feeling is in our body. The next one was the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, going through each of the senses as best we can. 5 things that we see, 4 things that we feel, 3 things that we hear, etc. And the last one is just a real awareness of where we are in space, right? Like, what is supporting us? What does our body feel like, whether we're standing or sitting or otherwise? And so grounding can be a really wonderful strategy when we're feeling a little dissociated or when we're feeling a desire to leave, to run away from something. Sometimes we do need to follow that instinct to run, but other times we just maybe need to ground in the moment because those defenses, the defense of flight, right, of running away, might be unnecessary, right? So I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to leave those in the comments. Again, my name is Dr. Barbie Hessel. I am with Simply Being Therapy in Nashville, Tennessee. My goodness. I am a psychotherapist and a somatic experiencing practitioner. And we just went over some grounding strategies. Until next time, bye.